The Human Resources Incident. Date of recording is December 13th. Recording done by Jeremy Foam Fisher, case director of Amalgamous Anomalies. The interviewed is one Anthony Jordan, operative that raided the Human Resources warehouse. Interview begins. The following recording will now play. Are you seriously recording this? Yes, is there an issue? Look, I know you coats want all the information you can get, but I don't want this statement to be used as a sort of damn lesson for the other operatives out there. It's so traumatic. It's frankly awful, mate. I understand it was rather traumatic for you, Anthony, but we have to get this done, so the sooner the better, if you will. Yeah, and I wish I just wasn't there. I wish I never signed up for this. Unfortunately, that is something we all have to come to terms with eventually. Can you begin at the start of the initial raid? Right, of course. Where was I? So we were riding up to the warehouse, and I remember this. Marcus was at the wheel, and my two other chosen operatives for this were Sarah and Tammy. I won't be giving their full names. I don't want them to come in here to record a statement. I want this to only be me, because I believe that they've been through way too much. Of course, this makes complete sense to me. I understand your frustration with us currently. So please, tell me what happened. Right, so once we got there, we were greeted by those other coats and guards, and they told us that they already searched the first and second floor. The floor plan of this place was completely weird. It was like the first floor was the ground floor, second floor was on top of the first, third and fourth were under the first. There was a staircase leading into the third. I'll get into that in a minute. There were a couple of weird things in the first floor. The second was just full of mannequin bits that were broken up, and that was just frankly disturbing to me. I don't think I want to recall those memories. Ugh. Right, of course. Yes, that makes enough sense to me. I wouldn't also want to recall something disturbing happening to me. I'm sorry, are you mocking me? But I swear, I can just walk out if you want. No, I apologize. My tone is just severely frustrated. I got word that these human resources areas you found on the third and fourth floor were going to interest me in a way I did not want. So please just go on. Right. Just before we were about to go and raid the third and fourth floor, just to recon, some of the operatives, the other guards helping the scientists and researchers open up crates and stuff, called us over to see something that we might actually be interested in. It was a giant crate, and some of the coats were about to open it with a power drill, or power saw. I don't actually know what it was. All I know is that I saw sparks coming off of it, and then once it opened, a bunch of animal bones just tumbled out. Now, because of my weird hobby, and because my father taught me how to do this, I noticed they were taxidermied. You see, now, you don't put bones in a taxidermy statue. That's just not how you do it. You're supposed to stuff it. You're supposed to skin the thing. But no, someone apparently taxidermied even the bone. No wonder the smell was so pungent. It hit us right in the nose, even though we were wearing masks. It was disgusting. I'm starting to see a pattern. What do you mean? Never mind. Go on. Right, so once we got into the, what was it? Right, once we got onto the second floor? Yeah, we were checking out the first and second floor. I apologize. The memory's a bit foggy. It was very, very rough. That's where Marcus is going to beg the higher-ups to retire early after this. He might sue them. He's going to be running a fool's errand. Never mind. Did you find anything on the second floor? Well, other than those mannequins I mentioned before, no, not much. Anyway, after that, we went down, found the stairs to the third floor, and prepped our guns, put on our headlights, and went down. Body cams didn't work. No signal down there. We could have probably gotten video, but we didn't. Yes, I heard there was no signal, no power in this warehouse, so it's understandably it was in a pretty remote location around many other broken down warehouses. But there was no power? I'm sorry, there was no power in there? I refuse to believe that, good sir. The third floor was colder than the other two floors. It was winter, sure, but we had on thick coats, and they even brought in a portable propane tank to connect to a heater upstairs. But once we got into the third floor, it was like an AC was blasting negative degrees down there for months. For months! There's no way there wasn't power down there. Ugh, not to mention the meat hooks. I'm sorry, what? The meat hooks? They didn't tell you about those? No, I was never informed that there was meat hooks in the warehouse. You're about to find out what it was called. Human resources. So, the reason why it's called human resources is because apparently it's actually human resources. It's not a woman with frizzy hair, glasses, pencil skirt, just writing you a ticket for pissing on the toilet seat or harassing your co-worker a little too much on April Fools. No, human resources was how, in the literal term, you would imagine. Literally, human resources. Arms, legs, torsos, toes, mouths, jaws, eyes, everything. It was cold. It was like a fridge. It was like a butcher's shop. Just full on Sweeney Todd. Everything. There was arms on meat hooks, torsos on meat hooks. There was just stitched up things, making bigger forearms, giant palms with multiple fingers. It was absolutely disgusting and vile. It almost made me throw up. But I held my composure and kept walking. We weren't sure if there was anything on the third floor. God knows if we ever even saw it, to be honest. I always felt this chill down my spine once we all turned around and found the fourth floor's entrance. It was in bright red colors, spray painted on the door. Human resources. Office. And on the bottom were two initials. May I assume what the initials were? Oh, please be my guest. Yes. Because I'm pretty sure you're already knowing what it is. Am I right? Yes, it was HT, wasn't it? How did you know? I have my own experiences. We will not be getting into them on this tape. Go on. Right. So we go to the fourth floor door. Marcus walked up first, nudged it with his gun. It was completely wide open. Once we passed through it, it was not cold anymore. It was same as the outside breeze once we got out of that car. Like 10 minutes earlier after this. So we decided to just walk forward. For a good 15 feet, there was nothing. But then we heard it. A faint groan. You're acting so nonchalantly about this. Well, forgive me for actually wanting to express my trauma in a bit of a frustrated manner, Doctor. Right. Apologies. Go on. I won't interrupt further. Right. So once we entered into the room, I remember Marcus backed away once he heard the groan and aimed his gun out, preparing to shoot and call out to whatever was there. Tammy, on the other hand, covered her mouth because, for some reason, the girl had a strong sense of smell, and once she smelt it, she told us what she smelt. It was corpses. Tons and tons and tons of fresh corpses. I noticed one of the faces, and because I'm one of those who rarely reads the newspaper, I noticed that one of those faces was a missing person that just went missing about, 2 weeks ago. One Jared something, I don't exactly recall. It was 2 weeks ago. But that's not the only thing we noticed. Sarah screamed because she saw a shambling mass of bodies stitched together, moving around. It was far bigger in this place. We once noticed once we picked our heads up and looked at the monsters that were just crawling around. It was disgusting. We should have left once we saw them, but no. Once I raised my head, I saw an office right at the end of the narrow path down across the bodies and the shambling meat husks. Which is vile, but it was lack of judgment from me, you could say. I ordered Sarah and Marcus to stay back, and I took Tammy with me. It was a mistake to take Tammy because of a sense of smell, but I did not know at the time. She threw up once we got even a little closer to one of the meat husks. They moved and they felt, but I'm pretty sure they couldn't hear or see. Well, that was at least what I thought. Tammy panicked when one of them brushed up on her, and it jerked oddly. It twitched. Its muscles were odd. Its upper body was grown out and covered in faces of dead people, and she shot it with her gun. Fell back, and nothing. Didn't get up. The others didn't notice, clearly. And we started walking closer to the office. The closer we got to the office, I noticed something. It was getting farther from us. Like, every time I was looking at it, it was always there, but then one of the husks would distract me, and I would look away for even just a moment, and then it'd go farther and farther and farther. I looked around. The room was getting longer and longer. By the time we looked back to Marcus and Sarah, they were a good 1.5 miles away from us. I didn't even notice I was walking for that long. The fatigue struck me once I noticed Sarah and Marcus were so far. I called off the mission, and I started walking back. I took Tammy with me. She could barely stand anymore, and I carried her. Once we were about to leave the 4th floor, an alarm blared out, and suddenly all the husks noticed us. We started to run, obviously. I couldn't shoot a gun, and Marcus and Sarah were far too keen on getting the hell out of there. I almost tripped, and they almost got me. They got onto the 3rd floor and started shambling about, climbing over each other. I swear I even saw some merge into each other as they fell and cut each other on the meat hooks accidentally. They didn't even have blood. They just had this juice that poured out of them. It looked like pen liquid. It was black and viscous. It's like they weren't even people. They were just stuffed full of this. And they were just thrown to rot and protect an office that they didn't even know it was inside. After that, we managed to escape. Not without me getting a good, decent scratch on my arm. After protecting Tammy, who just... I'm glad she wasn't hurt, at least. Other than that, once we got out, we told the other lab coats what we saw, and they were happy with our results. They were happy. Happy we got traumatized. Happy we saw dead bodies, walked on dead bodies, and almost became dead bodies for the sake of their research. I wanted to just go back down there, throw a couple grenades, and just see what happens. Next time we go down there, I demanded we have torches and far more operatives to follow us. We were only the recon team, and I was leading it. It was horrible judgment on my part to even investigate the office, but it was fine, because that office is impossible to get to, no matter what it has. I saw filing cabinets through the window, but I don't know what they have. Maybe they're just empty. Maybe it's just a false hope that we might actually be able to solve one of these anomalies. I gave up on it. Once we were done, they told us we're free to go for the day. And that's the last I saw of that place. Do you know what was interesting, Dr. Jeremy?
What, Anthony?
While I was there, every single one of those husks had a face, sure. One with 3 eye holes, but something I noticed, their eyes were glossy. They were covered in this glass eye marble sort of thing. Do you know what I think, Doctor? That whoever made this human resources place, this just warehouse, this storage unit to carry all their parts, was a taxidermist. And that's when I noticed the mark. That's when I noticed it was the same one you have on your back, isn't it? Isn't it? The same initials, same mark, stitches, and everything. It's a patch of skin stitched onto your back, isn't it, Doctor?
Yes, Anthony, it is. You're free to go.
Is that all?
Yes, Anthony, you're allowed to leave.
All right then. I'll be going.
Interview ends.
My supplementary comments on the situation is that Anthony Jordan is a great recon expert, and he managed to save his team when the time was right. Other than that, the continuous appearance to me and my cases about HR. I've been calling it HR. That's what it is. Human resources. It's an acronym. No wonder he chose that acronym. It fits with his style. Every time there's an H. Every time. Final notes. I've asked my assistants to search around the first and second floor. They found a trapdoor, but they can't open it. It's made of pure steel and locked down tighter than anything they've ever seen. They've tried to burn it, drill it open, break it open, even explode it open, but it just doesn't work. It needs a key. I think I know where to find that key, but it won't be easy. Recording ends. This recording was done by Dr. Jeremy Foam Fisher regarding the incident at the Human Resources Warehouse. It was alarming, to say the least. That's it for now.